All right, now, good evening. By now, you must know how our Fridays look like just for you. Time for Good Vibes, a bulletin designed by the TV47 editorial team to tell you the pleasant stories around you and beyond. Part of the team that has put up these stories tonight is here and, of course, will help me steer the ship. Now, they are Andrine Kilemi, we have David Mudoka, and we have Mwangi Maina. We are likely to get Zainab joining us. And indeed, here's a sneak preview of the stories that we have for you tonight. It's not all gloom in the Matatu sector in Kenya. Some SACCOs value decorum and the commuters pay back with loyalty. They are among the most affected by joblessness due to COVID-19, but some teachers have become ingenious and are now sitting on the silver lining of the pandemic. And all court sessions in Mombasa have been suspended indefinitely after 11 court officers tested positive for COVID-19 in the last 24 hours. This is TV47 Weekend and Good Vibe begins right now. My name is Linda Alela. Sign language interpreter is Ann Wairi. Now let's start with the first story. And the Matatu sector's image in Kenya is a tainted one. From throwing commuters off moving buses, hijackings to rude conductors and ruthless SACCOs. But some SACCOs are changing the narrative and setting the pace for the industry. And a good vibe story for the day, the one that we'll be starting with, is organized indeed by Mwangi Maina, who reports on this particular story. He's on board, remember, so he'll be telling us why he picked this story and what is different about it.
On Kenyan roads, Matatu is king. Millions of Kenyans depend on Matatus as the secondary means of transport from one location to the other. But it is a sector that carries the burden of a tainted name. It is marred with chaos, rude and arrogant operators, blaring music and speed that can send you to the next world is the order of the day. But for some SACCOs in the Nairobi CBD, they are an epitome of order in the sector. These are commuters on a line waiting for Super Metro buses. Here, everything is done in an organized manner. SACCO officials say integrity and discipline among their crew is their top priority.
Usafi tumemaintain kabisa. Hakuna siku tenyewe kwa Super Metro upate kunguni ama cockroach. Mpaka famigesho tunafanyaga. Gari zetu hazipitukangi. Ati imefika kama tuseme kama hii ni yene na Thika, ikifika Thika na nilikuwa na watu wawili wa Makongo, ati ipinduke, ipatiane hao watu. Inafaa kufika mpaka wapi? Mpaka huko Makongo. Unanielewa? Ifike mpaka huko, ifikisha wale watu wangapi? Wawili. Haifai kuwauzia kwa barabara.
Mishandling of commuters gets a conductor or a bus driver dismissed with immediate effect.
Customer akisema Zimio TV iko high, inazimago. Isipozimo, huo dereva uchukuliwa hatua. Jukuna namba, each gari, hakuna gari yenye nanga namba za officials wetu.
Nakuta watu wengi labda wanapenda basi zenu lakini wana complain kuhusu ile muziki ambayo mnacheza. Hiyo nayo.
No, it depends. Tunajua sisi in most cases tunadeal na students. Unaona kama Thika Road iko na student, iko na mayuni, kila kitu. Ziko mob sana.
To them, the commuter is king. All Matatu crew in the SACCO have to undergo interviews and intensive training before they can assume work. For the Kenya bus service, all conductors and drivers have to undergo a full course on customer relations and thereafter an internship with the SACCO. This is before they get employed. Discipline, they say, is a pillar of the Kenya bus service.
We undergo thorough training before you come to the road, as in before you start working. So that training we undergo, it helps us to know how to handle customers while you are working.
Because of the order and courtesy, many commuters run for these buses.
We have tried other Matatus that use the same route. But when you get to around KU, and you see the Matatu is full, disregarding the issues of social distancing.
Double M buses enjoy the same commuter traffic for their orderliness, discipline and integrity. Other Matatu SACCOs are following suit and restoring order in this sector. Indeed, these Matatus are setting pace for other SACCOs and are a testament that a ride on Kenyan Matatu doesn't have to be a brush with death or the beginning of a bad day. Mwangi Maina, TV47, Nairobi.
Mwangi Maina, the floor is yours.
Well, Linda, thank you so much. And it's a story that I thought about the chaos that we witness in the matatu industry. But you have noticed of late there is order is being restored. We have seen commuters making lines. We have seen conductors dressing well, like they are clean. The matatus are not noisy. And there is order being restored in the matatu sector. Linda, I don't know if you have ever boarded a matatu and even before you reach your destination, you are sold in quotes to another bus at some few coins. And then you are told, join another bus. And you've heard what Super Metro guys have said, that even if there are two commuters and they have not reached their destination, they have to be taken to their destination because that is a rule, that is the order of the day. We have seen circles setting precedents for other circles here in the CBD, and we hope that this is also being witnessed in other parts of the country.
Well, I don't know how old you are, but I can tell you for free. One of the main reasons why your mom could tell you hata usiolewe na mtu wa matatu is simply because of those terrible moments that people used to experience when they're boarding matatus. But it's a whole different nowadays. I mean, a whole different affair nowadays. And I think it is quite impressive. Looking at that story, it speaks volumes of how we've witnessed these changes. Modoka, we have you. What do you make of this story?
Well, I think the matatu culture is one that has been tainted over the years. And I can say that I'll agree with Mwangi that yes, people get sold in quotes to other matatus. Even before you reach your destination, let's say there's a certain matatu you are in and you are headed to a certain destination, you're the only person left, others have alighted at some point. Well, the matatu crew decide to, turn at such a position and you're left stranded. And then the other matatus, and that now reflects with the traffic that they get, especially when it's during peak hours. These matatus, they have DECORUM, the matatus where they have good customer awareness, and you'll definitely find traffic. And one, as I made walks around Nairobi, I could identify Super Metro. One matatu circle where you find a line stretching for up to 1 kilometer. And you'll ask yourself, we have other matatu circles plying the same route as Super Metro, but why this specific one? And you try to see what they do different. The music sometimes could be loud at specific matatus, but the slogan there, the mantra there is to create a very conducive environment now for the commuter. So I think the traffic we see is a result of the discipline that now these matatus are there too.
Yes. And ladies will tell you for free, sometimes there's a hustle down there. Andreen, what has your experience been like? And I mean, we are not trying to sell these matatus, or we're not trying to advertise them in any way, but we say, man, where there's credit, let's give it. Amma?
Now that you asked about my experience, I think I am one of the victims because as Mwangi said, I was sold for a few coins, Unaambiwa shuka, pande yo gari ingine kufikishe, and maybe you had luggages and
you're running late.
Yes, you're running late and you have very heavy bags and you want to rush somewhere. So I think what Super Metro is doing and other circles, including KBS, because I am a customer of the KBS and I know and I see actually what they do. There's a bit of decorum and like Motoka was saying, sometimes you check what other circles are doing and the line is stretching for like 1 kilometer all the way and other circles are there. We have the manyangas which have music, which I think is what teenagers go for.
Yeah.
But I might be too old for this, but I do not know, because who wants that loud noise when coming from work and you have that headache? So what Super Metro and KBS is doing is what other circles should actually be doing.
All the best, I mean. And of course, as Andreen says, at least there's so much preference in the market for you, so you can always choose. If the music's too loud, then you're too old, Andreen. So what do you have for us?
All right, so I was just walking around and I realized that we've been doing stories on the plight of teachers. Yes, the COVID-19 hit has affected the education sector. But now there is always a positive side to every negative,
Right.
And I did a story on teachers who've taken this COVID-19 pandemic to ensure that they do not just stay home and sleep and just waste their time. They've taken and embraced technology to do online learning.
Let's take a look at that story by Andreen.
I have drawn on the map here, you'll be able to locate the kingdom. This is the kingdom. Sessions are ongoing at Nifunze Academy, a company that was started just a month after coronavirus was reported in the country. The main aim was to fill the gap that was left after schools closed indefinitely.
Remember, when you are learning about
These sessions will be followed online by learners who are forced to remain home. The platform gives opportunity to educational centers and individual teachers to offer classes from pre-primary level, primary level, and all the way to the university level.
We offer this platform for free to learning institutions or even teachers. They use it for free. It is the end user who pays a subscription fee of 30 shillings a day or 900 shillings in a month.
Wednesday morning, and Shem Mavinda, a class 8 teacher, is headed to work. On a normal day, Shem would be armed with a chalk to a physical classroom. But today, he is armed with a felt pen, headed to a studio where his sessions will be recorded and later uploaded on the internet. He says despite the spread of coronavirus affecting his teaching career, it has on the flip side presented new and challenging opportunities.
Out of my teaching here at Nifunze, actually I can say I'm getting at least something, even though maybe it cannot be as much as I used to get where I was before COVID-19. It is something that is sustaining maybe my life for now. When the schools were shut down, this opportunity came up. Because maybe if the schools were still in progress, it could take time for such an opportunity to come.
It is equally the same for Shirley Melvin, a primary school teacher in one of the private schools in Nairobi.
So when the news of the COVID-19 came, it took me by a shock, and I was like wondering, how is life going to be? Because my major income is from the salary I get from the school where I teach, that is in Eastland. So I was like, what will happen after this? Will life continue? Will I die? What will happen? After some good period of time, then it was announced, no going back home. So I was like, it was so hectic. But by grace and good God, here comes Nifunze.
It is now clear that every situation that presents itself has both the negative and positive side, and for these teachers, the COVID-19 pandemic has indeed become a lesson that every dark cloud has a silver lining. Andrine Kilemi, reporting for TV47.
Indeed, for every cloud, there's a silver lining. And I think this is a good example that despite having the COVID-19 hit in the country, there's a bit of positivity. It's always good to look at things from both directions. And what I liked about those teachers is that they never gave up, yeah? So they decided that schools have been closed, yeah? We have no salary. And COVID-19 is here for a very long time. We do not know when this is going to end. So they decided, let us come up, start this particular web-based platform, which is called the Nifunze Academy, where now we'll be connecting with our learners from home and ensuring that learning goes on. I don't know, what is your thought, Mudhoka?
Well, I think the biggest agenda with these teachers is not to reap profits in the end, because I think they are just asking for 30 shillings a day, Andrine?
Yes, 30 shillings a day and 900 a month.
Yes, at the end of the month.
Very affordable.
Yes, yes. They try to make sure that now children who are at home have their mind fixed on education. And it's not education that is just for cramming, or they try to make sure that these children open up their mind, and they try to teach, to keep them busy over this period. And Kenyans never disappoint, especially on matters creativity and matters technology. Now it's a period now to utilize technology at its fullest. We live in an era that is very fortunate, and I think these teachers did a very positive thing, very creative thing, trying to reach out to the students amid the distance between them. Mwangi, what do you think about this story?
It's a fantastic idea. I remember when I was in primary school, after school we were going to somewhere for tuition, and the teachers used to charge 20 shillings for, I think, for an hour. So, and for a teacher giving you free content a whole day for only 30 shillings, I think it's something commendable.
Right, it is. Oh, right, I cut you short, but it's okay. Allow me to also say this. I've been burning because as much as I am a student, I am equally a parent. So you can imagine that our biggest worry right now as parents is that, activity that has been ongoing, streamlined by the schools that your students learn, from. So at least on this one, Andrine, I think the beauty of it is that you are not forced, first of all, to go by the syllabus, because there's been this fear that some students might miss out, and there are others who are actually following up with the teachers, and then they are proceeding with the syllabus. At least Magoha said yesterday that we will resume from where we left it at. So I think this one is more or less like revision, which is very, very, very good, because you also know that sometimes ukikosa kusoma and then you go back to school, it can be hectic. So it is good, and it's pretty much affordable. So indeed, it is commendable. Don't just sit there and cry foul and say that you corona imekuja and now you don't have money. You have no reason whatsoever. Let's proceed to a story that was also prepared by our very own Joash Onsare. Well, that was a tongue twister. He's not here, but again, we'll be going through this good vibe story that he has prepared. As coronavirus cases surge in the country, creative ways of containing the virus have been implemented. And our reporter Joash Onsare met Peter Mwaura, a disabled youth in Mathare Estate who has mobilized the youths into acting skits on COVID-19 containment measures. Let's take a look at that.
Mathare Estate in Nairobi County. Locals are up and down trying to make ends meet at the time coronavirus has obstructed normal activities. We meet Peter Mwaura in his home preparing himself, hoping to sensitize Mathare residents on COVID-19. Despite Peter's disability, he pushes himself through his talent of script writing and directing to emphasize on the need to follow government directives in combating COVID-19.
Kama ni kueducate mambo ya COVID na nikitaka kufunza maybe other persons with disability, na record a video maybe nikifanya kitu and then na send. So advantage still natumia hiyo ku emphasize kuonesha if a person like me can take caution, any other person can take caution.
At a time when many Kenyans are struggling with meager incomes and others left jobless due to coronavirus pandemic in the sprawling city slum, Peter has taken a personal initiative to mobilize talented youths to acting COVID-19 awareness skits, diverting them from drugs addiction and crime.
Vijana nafanya kazi nao hapa ni vijana tu hapa mtaani. Ni vijana hapa wanafanyanga hiyo acting, so niliona ni better ni work na watu tu mtaani, so ikuwa rahisi kuwapata. Ndio, lakini ni hapa mtaani ndio nakujaga unaanza kuona kumbe mtu anaweza fanya kitu fulani.
At their meeting place, one after the other, they share ideas that can fit their objective, and the message here is combating COVID-19.
Kitu yenye nafanyanga at this time ni ku educate watu na important kama sasa kama yenye tumefanya ni on sensitization, si hadi atufanyangi hizo zingine. So tunakaa tuna major on mambo ya crime in relation to COVID, then tuna role play, tunatafuta watu mahali wamegaa.
This art has been embraced by many people in the estate since it has empowered them in the fight against COVID-19.
Venye the more naendelea kuact wale maboy wanatupatia ile courage ya kuprevent kitu kwa slum yetu. So napata kama sasa hivi venye wanaact hivi, mali wanaactia hizi mandoo nini ziko hapo, wana encourage mtu kuna.
After the show, Peter and his colleagues share what they believe will save the country and slum dwellers who are at higher risk.
It won't hurt to take care of yourself. So to take caution, as the government says, keep distance. If you can stay home, stay home. No. Okay, if you go anywhere, make sure social distancing. Avoid touching mambo ya kutokuta, all that. Sanitize everything.
Corona iko na corona inaua. Hata kama tunaenda mastarehe mbili tatu, assume ule ambaye uko na yeye hapo ako na corona. Na starehe pia isifanye ukuje baadaye ulie tumepatikana ugonjwa.
These youths have shown an example of innovation, coming up with ideas to ensure that combating COVID-19 is not an issue for the better part of the country. Reporting for TV47 from Mathare Estate in Nairobi, My name is Josh Onsare.
Bas, twende hospitali. Wacha nichukue mask, nikuje tuende, si ndio? Wacha nichukue mask, nikuje tuende. Tuonane atakuwa na corona, sawa?
Mwangi, this reminds me of one story that we did on our very first edition of Good Vibes about Samson Waithaka. Yeah.
It's a brilliant story by our colleague Joash Onsare, and the story we did, I think we have to allow people who are living with disabilities. Remember when we did our first bulletin of the Good Vibes, we had that Samson Waithaka who had a prosthetic leg, having one of his legs amputated. We saw him walking with a bicycle, and here is a youth who has brought together his friends to sensitize masses on coronavirus. And I think whatever people living with disabilities, together with the youth, what they are doing, it is something that is commendable, and we have to give them heads up for what they are doing. I think it's a brilliant idea of doing creatives, telling people this is it, this is the situation on the ground, take care and stay safe. Mudoka, what do you make out of this story?
Well, this just brings me back to one agenda I've been trying to push, that art is one of the least violent but most effective ways of passing a certain agenda, and in this case a very positive agenda. And another case of defying all odds, remember Joash highlighted a story about this man who was this disability, but that does not bar him now from trying to reach out to fellow people in Mathare. I think perhaps he noticed that people do not quite consider to adhere to the containment measures that the Ministry of Education has put up, especially wearing of masks. And this is something that we are trying also as media to pass on to the people watching. Let's just adhere to these containment measures. It takes me, it takes people like the man highlighted by Joash Onsare to try and reach out to every potential person, because we need each other at the end of this pandemic. Yes.
Andreen.
Right. I think this story clearly paints a picture of disability is not inability. And I like that this project is actually being spearheaded by someone who is living with disability, just to shed light and to show the other people that are living with this particular condition that you can actually do it. And they are youth, yeah? And I remember one time when the CS for Health, Mutai Kago, was speaking, he said, and this is the words he used, he said, hakuna mu youth, you know? And these are the youth. And they're taking this particular initiative to ensure that people in their area are following the containment measures. So big up to you, Mwaura. Mwaura, the guy who started this, keep doing it.
Indeed, big up to you, Mwaura. And I will throw it now to David Muthoka. Muthoka, you also have a very interesting story for us today. So what got you doing this story and what it is all about?
Well, we saw the budget released the other day, and the number of the people who are vulnerable within the society keeps on ballooning. So the people that were vulnerable back then perhaps get a deaf ear to prioritize other people who are coming up as vulnerable. And I highlighted a certain story happening at Dandora Phase 2, where we have hundreds of children who were homeless but now have been adopted into a children's home and identified as St. Anne's. And now with vulnerabilities increasing, people have decided to withdraw some of their support, which is quite understandable because now people do not get the much money they were getting. But then a group of university students, and these are people who have no income, continue to support now these children. It's quite ironical because these are people that do not earn anything, but they have tried to push and stood with these children. We can take a look at that story.
It is literally a home for the hundreds of children here. However young, these children were forced to flee from their homes for a variety of reasons, and now they know no other home other than here. The hundreds that have enrolled since its inception depend on the facilitators for survival. But fending for over 100 children a day is not a walk in the park. The managers in turn rely on well-wishers for support. But now with the coronavirus pandemic eating into the country's economy, well-wishers seem to have pulled out their aid, with little thought given to the hundreds of children here. However, a group of youth drawn from various universities in the country have defied all odds and continue to be a present figure here. According to Philip Ahmed, the founder of Blessed Team, a group of youth dedicated to helping the little children here, it is the last time they could consider abandoning these children.
Age from maybe, let's say, 19 to 26, 7. So we are not that old. We are still in school, but most of us have graduated last year. We are planning to build for them a house. So we do the budget. After doing the budget, we just, if the total amount comes up to maybe 100,000. So we tell the officials, everybody has a target.
And with the lack of jobs rampant, children are the most affected as more people have been pushed into the streets. St. Anne's Children's Home offering solace for those homeless. According to Felicitas, the children facility's main goal is to provide 3 basic needs for the children, some who have been victims of negligence from their parents.
Wakati mwingi tumegrow na wao hapa, tumelea walimu, tumelea madaktari mahala hapa, tumelea wengine ambao pia wako college, kuna universities, through well wishers.
Tunakaa na hao, tunawamenta, tunawaleta karibu, kwa maana ni watoto wale walikuwa wanaishi maisha ile sio mzuri. Sasa wakisha kuja hapa, tunaishi na hao, tunawaongelesha, we pray for them, wanahubiriwa hata na wachungaji, na unapata mtoto amechange.
The home has seen children as young as 2 years enroll here and develop into holistic youth, some of whom are scattered across universities and national high schools in the country. Peace is among the senior youth here. A Form 4 student at Molala Girls appreciates the impact this home has had on her life. Forced to leave home over mistreatment, she never looks back on that decision.
They have enabled me to nurture my talents, like I love singing, dancing, but not that much. And also, they have brought me in a religious manner, a God-fearing way.
Danton is among 3 siblings who fled their Kitale home following the passing of their mother. 3 years later, he is a Form 1 student with aspirations torn between a career as a footballer or as an engineer. Now, it is with the help of well-wishers here, however less recognized but quite impactful, that these children can put a smile on their faces. Their dreams remain valid no matter who, what or where they come from. David Mudhoka, TV47.
Well, I think this is one story which I'd like to dedicate to 2.5-year-old Angel inside Dandora Phase 2, as well as Gift. And I see potential within the children that I managed to interact with today. They were homeless at some point, adopted into a children's home, and perhaps you see the next Victor Mugubi Wanyama in the young man who was playing football, or perhaps the next Johnson Mwakazi in the little boys there who think and who believe that they have a passion in matters articulation. So yes, there's talent and they're under the best care there. So let's, I think, keep on supporting such people who are vulnerable within the society and who might have been overlooked by the government. What do you think about this story, Linda?
Well, as they would rightfully say it, I think I want to weigh into this, but I would want to allow Mwangi, first of all, to tell us his take on this particular story. So then it comes back to me and I expound more on it. Mwangi.
Linda, well, I think this is one of the stories that I, as a journalist, these are one of the stories that might move me into tears. What those university students are doing, indeed they are a blessed team. Whatever they are doing, it's something, this is one of the things we say, it is a noble cause. Because you find that in these times of this pandemic, most of the vulnerable people in the society, especially those little kids, those people who are living in those orphanages, there are most people who have been forgotten. And I think whatever they are doing, it's something that has to be praised. And what we can only tell them, that let them keep the good work. And here we shall continue appreciating their efforts.
Well, some bit of Swahili, and they said, kutoa ni moyo. It's not because you have so much that you would give. That is my own thought. And I'm thinking this young, youths have decided to come out and make the best of, the life of these people who are vulnerable, who probably would look at life and think that, okay, well, there's nothing good left for them. So this is pretty much amazing. And I think I would say keep up to that. If you remember very well, Deputy President William Ruto saying that, the government can only reach enough people. What are you doing in your own individual capacity to ensure that you make somebody else smile? So this is commendable. Good job right there, Muthoka. And I hope we are able to capture more and more of these stories. Andreen.
Yeah, good job, Muthoka, as Linda said. This is one of the stories that really, really touches my heart, especially now that we had, I don't want to call them exaggerated numbers of impregnated school-going girls, but keeping them busy. These university students have started this at the homes and ensuring that girls and boys also are busy at home and do not engage themselves in bad behaviors. So it is something that all of us should actually take up and ensure that when we see a gap in our society, then we are able to fill that particular gap. And on to the next story now, where our very own Zainab Mohammed met three girls, I bet.
Three.
Yes, who sell mbogas. But when you look at them, you can actually not tell that these girls are doing this particular job. So let's have a look at that.
At 7 a.m. in the morning, we meet up with Pili Kasare, one among 3 young women who are venturing into online selling of vegetables. Pili is at the market.
Siwezi, kwanza nichagulia nini? 6 kgs, 6 kgs. Sita.
And it is chaotic.
36.
Pili and her partners are here to source for vegetables for their clients. It is a process that takes about 2 to 3 hours. After a few hours, the ladies are ready to start sorting the vegetables, working as a team in getting the job done on time. This is not the end, as the three take us through their delivery process, an option that provides maximum convenience to their clients.
So for this route, we have 3 deliveries along Thika Road. We have Thome, we have around TRM, and at Kahawa West.
One after the other, the vegetables are delivered to their doorsteps. But why sell the vegetables online?
You can get a lot more people as opposed to a physical shop. Although a physical shop is still in our plans, but online you're able to get a lot more audience that you would not have gotten if you had a physical shop. And right now, social media is the source of news. It's the source of a lot of information. So if we can be part of that source, if we can provide content for that, then that works very well for us. It also saves us on cost, because a physical shop would require the licenses, would require rent. But online, you're able to save on that. And
it is an obscure job for young women in their 20s, something that has earned them the tag name Vegetable Slay Queens. But the three say it's a business like any other and one that shouldn't be looked down upon.
First off, we do not consider ourselves slay queens. Let's just start from there. That's one. Two, I think there's a twist we put to it, because we are not afraid to venture into this, I don't know who said it's for. I think it's because our culture generally Kenya is mama mbogas, so we are wasichana mbogas. We're doing business.
At a time when COVID-19 infections are at its peak, Zipporah says despite being at a high risk while conducting their business, they've come up with protocols to mitigate the danger. And as the three say, like any other business, there are many challenges.
So we started out farming, and it wasn't as great or as lucrative as we thought it would be. Actually, we made a huge amount of losses the first time we started out. But yeah, we kept on going, and then now we decided to be the people who buy from farmers and connect them to consumers.
From their story, it is clear that no job is too menial, and if it puts food on your table, then go for it. For TV47, I'm Zainab Mohammed.
Wow, amazing story right there, Zainab Mohammed. Mazee, hii story imeniguza. Yani mbonga inauza mboga. Mbonga inauza mboga. And I like that they say, they actually thought about it before starting, and I think it is a very good thing that you should do before starting any particular job, that putting up a physical shop would actually cost them more. So they decided that they'll be delivering to save on the cost. And it actually brings me to another point where I remember a friend of mine used to say, mimi ni mkul na mimi uenda shambani. Those girls are cool and they're doing a job that is earning them money to put food on the table. Muthoka?
I like to pick from that note, Andrine, you've left from. The Swahili say, mchagua jembe sio mkulima. And these are three, let me call them in quotes, slay queens, who the notion out there is always they are very picky and very choosy about some jobs. But then wamejihusisha, they are part of, you know, the mama bloggers out there, although taking their market online. And people would say that perhaps the online business right now is full, it's quite saturated. But these are ideas that keep on being generated by Kenyans, and Kenyans are quite a very creative lot. Yes. Mwangi.
Wow, what a vibe. I think the trio is doing an excellent work. What my colleague has said, ni mboga ambayo inauza mboga. It's very interesting what the girls are doing outside there. Not just waiting for handout. These are young youths doing something commendable to put food on their table. Heads up to them, and this is the reason why we're having good vibes. Linda.
Well, now the statement has come from the right person, which is Mwangi. There is no way Andrine is allowed to declare that Boga knows a Boga in this case. So it has just landed on the right person. And Mwangi, thank you so much for confirming and affirming that. And honestly, I think big up to these ladies. Wamesema wanajiita wasichana Boga, which is pretty much amazing. I mean, what else can I say? Wametubamba. And by the way, Andrine, big up to you for making this good vibe moment, indeed a good vibe. Thank you so much. It is the first time that we're having you here, right?
Yeah,
that's an amazing story, Zainab. From wherever you are, big up for identifying these cute ladies who are doing an incredible job. Go out there and make life happen. Don't sit and say that, oh, vitu ni baya, mambo ni baya, sijui times not tough. There's always something that you can do to make a living. And I think that's the very same point that we're going to look out on the Good Vibes session. We'll be coming back later on to expound more on more news. And I have to say thank you to the rest of the team. Andrine Kilemi, thank you so much for that. Mwangi Maina, thank you so much. And David Muthoka. I'll be coming back after this break with much more. Welcome back to this Friday edition of The Weekend, and that was good vibes. And it's time now that we proceed with the news stories that we have. And Chief Justice David Maraga has declared the indefinite closure of courts in Mombasa after 11 out of the court staffs tested positive for coronavirus in the last 24 hours. In a statement, Maraga says another 118 staff members of Mombasa courts who are primary contacts of the 11 will be subjected to self-quarantine with immediate effect. Among the affected courts are the main court building, the City Court and the Tononoka Children's Court. Earlier today, Dr. Rashid Aman announced that 117 people had tested positive to the virus nationally, 22 of them from Mombasa.
We have 117 people who have tested positive for coronavirus disease over the past 24 hours from a sample size of 3,043. These 117 are distributed as follows: Nairobi 51 cases, Mombasa 22, Kajiado 18, Kiambu 6, Nakuru 5, Garissa 5, Machakos 3, Kericho, Busia and Uasin Gishu 2 cases each, and Wajir 1 case. I'm also pleased to inform you that we have discharged 91 patients from our various hospitals, bringing the total number of recoveries to 1,550.
And moving on, Nancy Kaboi Gadhungu has been appointed as the country's second Auditor General. Kaboi, an insider, will replace Edward Ouko months after his exit. Before her appointment, she has been the Director of Quality Assurance at the Auditor General's office. And if approved by Parliament, she will serve for an 8-year term. And some bit of politics, members of Parliament allied to Deputy President William Ruto are now crafting their new political outfit after meeting the Deputy President. The members of Parliament claim that their newly found meeting point, dubbed Jubilee Asili Center, was as a result of being denied access to the Jubilee Party headquarters. Elizabeth Mutuku reports.
A few days after Tanga allied MPs were discharged from their respective House committees in the National Assembly, and plans to craft a political future are underway. Ruto allied MPs are said to be in the process of forming a new outfit meeting at a newly created Jubilee Asili Center, termed as a starting point. Tanga faction, citing the move to have Jubilee Asili Center, was informed by frustrations by some of the officials in the Jubilee Party. They claimed that they have been denied access to the Jubilee offices in Pangani. They are, however, insisting they will not be leaving the Jubilee Party anytime soon.
We are not about to separate ourselves with Jubilee and Uhuru Kenyatta. That is our investment. We have put our all political investment for more than 10 years on Uhuru Kenyatta. And nobody can give us a lecture, and nobody can tell us muachane na Uhuru Kenyatta. Hata Uhuru Kenyatta mwenyewe hawezi kututoroka.
Jubilee Vice Chairman David Murathe insists that the purge in the ruling party was long overdue, terming Ruto allies as the biggest hindrances in the Jubilee's delivery. Deputy President William Ruto met with over 16 MPs after the ruling party discharged them of House committees of the National Assembly.
It's now evident that the political divorce between President Uhuru Kenyatta and his deputy William Ruto has officially started. Now, DP Ruto and his allies in the process of forming a new party in the name of Jubilee Asili. Elizabeth Mutuku, TV 47 Nairobi.
Right, pretty much interesting times on matters politics, and whether indeed this is rife or not is a question of wait and see. But as many have argued, it is obvious and it is clear that Jubilee is no longer together. Now, Wiper Party still insists that Kalonzo Musyoka is still prepared for 2022 presidential candidate. Speaking after a meeting in Makueni, the Ukambani leaders endorsed Kalonzo as the region's 2022 preferred candidate. This comes just days after Kalonzo signed a cooperation agreement with the ruling Jubilee coalition.
We want to firmly and unequivocally restate that His Excellency Dr. Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka is the only leader with authority from our region to sit with His Excellency President Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta to negotiate for the interests of our community. We now call upon the clergy, the business community, professionals, and politicians from all corners of the region to rally behind our leader, His Excellency Dr. Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka, and support him to push forward the development and political agenda of our community.
Lazima tukubali kwamba kuna watu wataongea sana kuhusu uongozi wa Wiper, lakini hakuna mahali utapata kwamba sisi viongozi wa Wiper na Mheshimiwa Kalonzo Musyoka ameleta utata katika uongozi wa County Assembly. Wale ambao wako na shida katika County Assembly zao wafanye kazi ama watatue shida hizo bila kumleta Kalonzo Musyoka katika shida zao. Ule ambaye hajafanya kazi atabeba msalaba wake mwenyewe, na Kalonzo Musyoka atawekwa katika kishawishi ama katika maneno haya ambayo yanaendelea katika uongozi wa counties.
All right, now let's take a look at the roundup of stories on matters of sports across the world. It is not rosy. A wrap right here on the Friday edition. We've done much of good vibes, and we're looking forward to see you again next Friday for more amazing stories. Remember, you can write to us. Let's get to hear from you if you have any nice story that is around, so that at least we'd be able to, capture some of these stories. So it was great. Thank you so much for your time. My name is Linda Alela. It was great having you. And as of now, Southampton versus Norwich, 3-0. 3 for Southampton. And